voice in writing isn't very different from voice in living. The way you live is often the way you write. So if you find that you're living and people ask you questions like, oh, do you want to see this movie, or do you want to have this meal, and you say, I don't care. Well, that's a lie. You really do care. You're just not sure you want to be honest enough to actually say it. When you're writing, it's pretty similar. When you sit down at the computer or in front of a piece of paper with your pen and you start writing, some thoughts go through your head. You think, what does my teacher want to hear? What does this audience want to hear? What does my mother, my father, my friend, my dog, my cat, my niece, my nephew, what do all these people want to hear? And then you start writing. That's not the way to get an authentic voice in your writing. If you want to really be authentic and you want to let your voice come out in your writing, you've got to stop caring in a way. You've got to stop caring about what people are going to think as they read your writing. And you just have to start writing and living the way you honestly would write or live. So one way to go at this is to sit down in front of the paper or sit down in front of the computer and just write for about 4 or 5 minutes. And any thought that comes into your head, you don't cancel it out. You don't tell that thought, man, that's stupid. No one's going to believe that, or no one's going to think that's good writing. You just have to let yourself put it on the page. Anne Lamott describes this wonderfully in her book, Bird by Bird, when she says, if your character wants to say, Mr. Poopy Pants, then your character says Mr. Poopy Pants. Whatever your character wants to say, or whatever yourself, if you're writing about yourself, you want to say, you say it. You don't think, you just write it. After that 4 or 5 minutes, you look back at what you've got, and whatever else it may be, even if it's not great writing, it's got an authentic voice because it came out of you. It's kind of like when you're alone in your bedroom and at night you're just kind of listening to a song and you're letting yourself sing to that song. You're not necessarily caring how in tune you are with the song. You're not listening to your voice wondering, is what I'm saying actually exactly right with what the song is saying? You're just kind of enjoying yourself. And writing with an authentic voice is like that. When you're actually writing and you're not thinking about what people are going to feel or say about it, your authentic voice comes out. I had a supervising teacher, John Robinson, who once said he had read this essay, and it was an A+. It was great. It answered all the questions on the rubric. It was perfect. The essay was fabulous. But he looked at me and he said, that essay has no soul. And in the next 7 years of my teaching, I would really remember that lesson, that you could write a great essay that answers all the questions. You could write a great story that seems to have a great plot, and yet it has no soul. Another way of saying that would be that it has no voice. There's not an authenticity, a realness about the spirit of the writing. And to do that, you have to let all of the walls you put up in your own writing and in your own life, you kind of have to let them all break down and actually just let yourself think, let yourself live, let yourself create.